Welcome, welcome, welcome to Stop Losing Women. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. I am back from a long, well rested semi vacation. I've been away for a minute doing a variety of things, some of which are classified and I can't talk about. But suffice to say, I'm back. I'm going to have more shows coming soon now that I've got a decent setup, got a decent camera, and I'm ready to rock and roll with you guys. So, welcome to the afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, today we're going to talk about some dating stuff. And the main topic we're going to talk about towards the end is how doing this one particular action can cause women to be scared away if you do this in the bedroom. And it's something maybe you haven't considered or thought about before, but it's probably something you're unaware of, that if you're doing this in the process of hooking up, you're probably freaking women out and it's scaring them away. And I don't want you to have that happen. So we're going to talk about what that is. But first, I kind of want to go over a few other different things that I found through the course of the last few weeks that I thought would be interesting to talk about. The first one, though, honestly, is that, like I said, I haven't done this show in a minute because I've been doing other things. I've had some other interests I was getting into and things I needed to set up. And so I didn't really give myself time to do these live shows and do videos. And so I was having a conversation with my wife the other day, and I told her I was going to get back into doing the show. And she was like, "Oh, that's so good because I didn't know if you had stopped the show just because of me. Because now that I'm married, it's like, did I feel some kind of way about giving dating advice, or did I feel like I was going to hurt her feelings if I said certain things that maybe she agreed or disagreed with or whatever?" And I never had any of those questions. I just really was busy. But I thought about the fact that there are women in my past that I dated while I was doing this show who I would tell about doing this show, and the reactions would range from curiosity to, "Oh, that's interesting," to some of them would actually check out the show and then be like, "Oh my God, how could you do a show where you're basically teaching guys to manipulate women?" Which, spoiler, I don't feel like that's what I'm doing at all. I really feel like I'm giving guys the inside game on how women think and what best works to attract them. And if you consider that a manipulation, quite honestly, women read magazines and books for years on how to get us and get advice from their aunties and so forth and so on. And guys end up being shamed for trying to seek out information. But this isn't like dating isn't a thing that comes naturally to most people, especially men. And so I have no problem telling men, "Hey, I figured out some of this stuff from other sources I looked at, and here's the information I can give to you with between that and my lived experience." But that said, other women in my past have certainly felt a certain way about that. And then that's also a thing that a lot of men get into relationships whereby they may have had a hobby or an interest that they had before they met this person. And then they get with the person, and maybe even the hobby they had actually impressed the person initially. You're a musician, or you build stuff with your hands, or she liked the fact that you went out with your friends and were able to have a good time. And then she starts picking at you about, well, maybe you should play your instrument a little less. Maybe you shouldn't do that one hobby or activity so much. Why are you so obsessed with it? And so women can end up guilting men into not doing the thing that they were passionately doing when they first met them. And so, I'm very thankful that I'm married to somebody that's like, "No, you give dating advice. Like, I hope you keep on doing that," versus like, "Well, I don't like that you give advice in this certain way, or I don't agree with that. Therefore, it's toxic or manipulative." And that's a really interesting point to stress, is that as a guy, when you first start dating, chances are it may take you a while to get that first date, that first hookup, that first girlfriend. And so when you first start having those interactions and getting a little bit of success, you're still operating from a level of scarcity, meaning that you haven't had a whole lot of this. So you don't have any proof in your life up to this point that if this girl goes away, you can get another one. And so that can cause us to be very fear based and make us want to do whatever it is to please the woman, including, agreeing to silly demands that she may have because we don't want to upset her. And then we're thinking, well, maybe the thing she's asking for isn't so ludicrous, because what if this thing also offends other women and you don't know if it does or not yet? But more importantly, you're thinking that if you're doing something that she says offends her, that it must be bad. And I can tell you that is not true. Just because a woman doesn't like something you do, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means it irritates her. You're not killing puppies, you're not hurting babies. And so you got to really think about, when women are asking you these things, if these are things that are just like dumb ask, and there are things that in the long run aren't actually hurting anybody, and there are things that you like to do, and she doesn't like them, but you still do, then it's perfectly fine to say to a woman, I'm not going to stop that. And if that's a problem for you, then best of luck to you. You always need to be a man that is willing to show a woman that you're going to do the things you want to do. You're going to stand up for the things you believe in, and that you're happy to walk away if this does not please her, and you're not doing anything wrong, you know. And women need to know. Women need to feel early on that willing to leave them, because they need to feel as if they have competition. And if you allow a woman to walk all over you and change your habits and make you not do things that you like doing, then she's going to get the impression that, oh, he must have no other prospects, which ends up actually making you less attractive than you were in the first place. So be mindful of that, guys. Don't be giving up your hobbies. Don't be giving up things that you're passionate about just because a woman comes along and says that she's bothered by it. Assuming you're not hurting anybody and it's not causing any major damage, it's just something that she doesn't like you doing. That is not a reason for her to try to cajole you to stop it. But more importantly, that's no reason for you to suddenly think that you need to stop it just to please her, because there will be other women that will come along that will be more than happy that you're in their life, to where if you're doing your hobby, they probably want you to do the hobby because women don't want a guy under them all the time. And also it's what makes you you. And if you start getting rid of things that make you you to please her, then you're not going to be the version of you that she initially fell for. And she's going to leave you in spite of you getting rid of all your hobbies and all your interests and all your likes, because she was able to manipulate you into changing them. And then she realizes, I don't want a man I can manipulate that easily. And so I'm going to go with the guy who, yeah, he may annoy me because he's doing something that I wouldn't necessarily do, but he likes doing it and he stands up for himself. So just wanted to put that note out there. Anyway, guys, let's get on to some of the topics I wanted to talk about. So for starters, there was an interesting question I saw on Reddit, and I thought it was worth answering. So this guy had a question. He said, why do most men still use dating apps nowadays if it mostly does not work? He says, honestly, I'm just curious about this. Most men these days already know that dating apps can be quite unreliable. Probably it still was 8 to 10 years ago, but I'm not sure it is until now. What's making men stay in the apps? So this is what I call a fallacy that a lot of men have with regards to thinking that the tool is the problem versus the methods, that the ways in which they're using the tool itself is actually the problem, right? Because here's the reality. As a dating coach, I have personally helped men figure out the ins and outs of how to set up their profiles, of what to say in their bios, of what first messages to send women that's actually going to make them respond, and then how to talk to women in a way that's going to lead them off the apps into an actual one-on-one date, you know? And so I've done this to where I've actually coached men into meeting women and then eventually becoming the boyfriend, getting engaged, and actually getting married, right? All from dating apps. So, and I say, and it's not even to say that it's not harder for men on dating apps, because there have been videos after videos after videos and studies after studies that show that men have a harder time than women on dating apps. Like an average to okay looking woman can put a picture up on a dating app, say a few cutesy things, and even the just semi-averagest of women will get hundreds of messages in her inbox. Whereas most guys, they're lucky. You're lucky on day one. Even if you're like the most chiseled out dude in the world, you on that first day might get like 30 matches on a good day. If you're like a 10 out of 10 of guys, you're still not trumping a 10 out of 10 woman on a dating app that's going to get thousands of messages, right? And then you got to look at like the racial hierarchy, because like black men and then Asian men have like really hard on apps. And then you have like average looking nerdy dudes that just kind of do okay. So it's not to say that you as a guy aren't going to have issues with regards to having a harder time on dating apps than women. What I'm saying is, though, that just because your numbers aren't going to be in the high hundreds doesn't mean your matches can't be in like the tens or in the dozens, right? But it really does boil down to how are you using the tool? Because when I hear men complain about dating apps, let's assume it's an average to okay looking dude, and I consider myself that, and I had plenty of success on dating apps before I got married, right? So, but let's say you're an average to okay looking dude. If you have bad pictures where you like wearing wrinkled clothes and your teeth aren't really brushed really that well, and maybe you got like a crappy background when you're like in a messy room, that's going to be the first picture she sees when she's swiping through all the guys that have matched with her. Guess what, guy? You're not going to get picked. Then let's say you pass the visual test, going through your bio. You've answered all these prompts where you're answering all these emotional answers and, oh, I just want to have somebody that I love and care for. And my ex really beat me down. And, I don't know if I'll find love again. You sound crappy. So now your pictures are blocking you and your bio is blocking you. And then let's say you set that up. Somehow you get through a filter and a woman matches with you and she says, swipe right. We've matched, right? What's your first message? Hi, how are you? Wow, you're so gorgeous. Hey, beautiful. How was your day? It's not the dating app. It's the fact that you're basically trying to use methods that you've used from the real world onto a dating app. If your methods of trying to attract women in the real world suck, then all you're doing is transferring those same sucky skills over to a dating profile and a dating app, and you're also going to suck there. So you got to suck because men will complain about dating apps suck, meeting women networking sucks, meeting women through friends suck. Like they'll blame all these systems and say dating sucks because, going to a bar is terrible and meeting women in person at a friend's gathering doesn't work that well. And then going to a wedding and meeting people, that's a weird situation. And then I get on dating apps and they suck. And so dating just sucks altogether. And they're not realizing none of these systems inherently suck. Each of these systems have a learning curve that if you do not learn them, is going to result in you having bad results with regards to dating. So it's not the system, it's the fact that whatever methods you're trying to put forth within these systems, they are not conducive to positive results. And so this is why I personally recommend everybody needs to get a dating coach. Like real talk, like we're not inherently born knowing these things. I, in my time, hired coaches. I would either read stuff or I would like go into like forums and stuff like that, but I would find ways to get coached and then go out there into the real world and do trial and error and then come back and then revamp and do more stuff, figure out what I did right, figure out what I did wrong, and then do that over and over again, right? So when it came to online dating, at first I sucked at it too. I was sending bad messages. I was putting up just whatever picture because women should just like me for me and they shouldn't care about looks. And the reality is they do. They just do. So you have to learn to you can either be mad at the system or you can say, okay, clearly other people besides me are successful on these various systems, on these platforms, in person, whatever. So let me not blame the system or the device or the tool, and let me figure out the best way to use these tools and what I need to implement when using these various tools in order to have the most success with regards to dating. Now, obviously, if you want my help for that, you can go to stoplosingwomen.com and you can sign up for one-on-one coaching, sign up for a phone call. We can talk about it and figure out a plan that's going to help you get out of the doldrums of a bad dating life and get you towards better understanding how these various systems work, how women think, and of course, how to be able to get yourself out there in a way that women are going to respond positively to. But regardless of what you do, stop blaming these tools for why you can't get a date and start looking at other people are successful with these. Even average looking dudes are being successful on dating apps. You could be successful too, but it starts with what things you need to learn about those tools in order to be successful. Just wanted to point that out. By the way, guys, if you guys have any questions for me during the course of the show, I'm happy to answer any and all dating questions that you may have. Let's see. Moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk about is, this post that I found on Reddit, this is actually going to correlate with what I'm going to talk about in the main event of this show. All right. So this person here, he's a 27-year-old guy, and he was trying to date a 45-year-old woman. I have no judgment on that. I think that at different ages, whether it's the woman being older or the man being older, it can work out. I can say that it definitely is a little bit harder because most women are looking for men that are more mature than them. And so if she's 45 and you're 27, that's already going to be a bit of a hard curve. But you know what? It could work out if it weren't for certain mistakes that men make. And this is important because I think there are a lot of things that men are unaware of, like, especially with regards to, let's say you're a man that wants to get into a friends with benefit situation. Because this is a situation this guy has. This guy's 27, dating a 45-year-old, and he swears up and down he's trying to get into a friends with benefit situation. But as I read this, I'm going to go through his post, and then I'm going to point out the 5 things he did that don't give indications of trying to just be friends with benefits. So this guy, he said, he met a divorced single mom nurse at the gym in late December. He says, we've been texting since then and have gone on 2 dates so far. Pause. He's already said 4 words here that are meant to ruin this thing, right? She's divorced, she's single, she's a mom, she's a nurse. I will say, I've dated divorced women before. There's a reason they got divorced, and chances are, as you date them longer, you start to find out some of the things, some of the ways their character is that you can look at and be like, oh yeah, that's why they got divorced. Whether they're argumentative, whether they're very, very anxious, whether they're jealous, something's usually going to pop up within that first 3 months that gives you an indicator of why she got divorced. Single mom. So now you're dealing with a mom with a person that has kids, which means her schedule in terms of trying to get dates is going to be way off. More importantly, though, that means that you being a clingy person is going to be bad because she's already got little kids at home that are clingy and that need her time. And then you trying to be clingy is going to be indicative of being jealous of her situation with her kids, and you being too needy and desperate for her attention when she can't always give it. It's going to be bad. And then nurse. Being a nurse is one of the top professions in which women cheat. So he's already setting himself up for failure just by her being older, by being divorced, by being a single mom, and by being a nurse. Guys, do not set yourself up for failure. You need to start looking at all the statistics that this woman has on her before dating her to see what level of chance you have of actually making this be a realistic situation. In this situation, he's got 4 things against him already. So in a subconscious way, he's setting himself up to not succeed. But what'll happen is it won't succeed. And then he'll say, all women are crazy. No. Divorced single mom nurses don't give you a good shot at getting a good dating partner. But I digress. So he says they've gone on 2 dates. He says the first date was last minute at Panera because she told me she was free and I picked somewhere quiet to talk since the place I wanted to take her out to was overbooked. Towards the end, I told her I found her attractive and wanted to step out of the friend zone. She laughed like it caught her off guard and said, we'll see about that. All right, guys. So let's go over a few things. Panera Bread, it's not the worst place in the world, but it really is essentially a coffee shop. And, you know, a lot of gurus will say, hey, you should do a coffee shop date. Personally, I find coffee shops boring. I don't drink coffee, and I don't like the idea of like sitting someplace where it's so silent that other people on tables over can hear my conversation. That's why I typically do like light dinner dates. I do them during the nighttime, not during the daytime, because if it's nighttime, that gives a mood of romance and a mood of potentially of, if this is going good, we can now move this to a place where we can get a bit more intimate, versus daytime just screams, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to be your friend. You don't want to give off the impression to a woman you're meeting on a dating app that you're trying to set up friendship-like activities, because they'll come to you later and say, I think we should just be friends, based on the fact that you were doing things that led her to feel like this was more like a friendship than a relationship. And then also he points out here, he says, oh, I want to step out of the friend zone. So after 1 date, he's already trying to give indicators that he wants a relationship. Now, to his credit, he says to us, he wants to just step out the friend zone. Stepping out of the friend zone could mean a plethora of things, but women are going to read 3 times more into what you say than how you mean it. So he could very well mean, I just want friends with benefits. But him saying, I want to step out the friend zone is going to indicate to her he wants a relationship. And on date 1, that is not a thing you should ever be saying to any woman you're dating ever. Even if your intention is to date this woman to get towards a relationship, do not verbally say that to her. In fact, don't say it ever. You wait until month 2 or 3 when she starts coming to you and saying, hey, so I'm not seeing anybody else. I dropped my dating profile. What about you? Let her bring to your attention that she would potentially want a relationship, and it's going to work out better. Anyway, so he says, on the second date, we met at a parking lot. I drove us to Dave & Buster's, played games, ate, talked a lot, and she dressed really nice. At the end, she hugged me goodbye. Afterward, I texted saying I had a great time, and she responded positively and even hearted my message. Guys, please stop sending women after date text messages. You're thinking that you doing that is going to make her feel secure in the fact that you like her. And I'm here to tell you, Women do not need to feel completely secure about where you are with regards to your feelings for her so early on in the dating process. A woman needs to have some level of feeling that even though she's in the running, maybe you haven't decided on her yet. Maybe she's got competition. Maybe she needs to be doing more to get your attention and keep it and to win you over. Because yes, women actually want to be given a chance to win you over. And too many guys are just saying after date two, I don't want to make her unsure. I don't want to make her nervous. So I'm going to let her know I like her. And they start doing all these actions like texting and calling and saying, I had a good time. I want to see you again. And I'm already feeling things and I want to escape the friend zone. And that's why a lot of you guys are losing women. You're thinking logically, well, logically, if I want her to like me, I should let her know that I like her first. Guys, you don't have to do that. And honestly, you asking a woman out is all you need to be doing to show her that you like her. You not verbalizing that allows you to keep a little bit of the power because she'll be thinking, he's asking me out. He showed me a good time. He's hooking up with me, so he must like me, but he hasn't said anything yet. Does he really like me? I'm not sure. And see, guys are thinking, because as guys, we don't like being unsure, but women like to go through the exercise of being unsure and trying to figure you out, trying to unravel the mystery of your thoughts and your feelings and your motivations. And that allows them to bond with their girlfriends and female relatives about, I'm seeing this guy, but I don't know what he's about. Let's figure him out. And when you remove that exercise from their dating, it makes it less exciting for them, and thus they stop falling for you. Anyway, so he says, for context, my goal isn't anything long-term. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm honestly just looking for something casual / friends with benefits situation. This past Wednesday, I asked her out for a third date for Saturday. And she replied, hey, had lots of testing today on the computer. I am drained. Thanks for the compliment. I should be available on Saturday. I'll definitely know by tomorrow. Now, let's see. This guy wrote this thing 4 days ago. Today is Wednesday. So he wrote this on Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He wrote it on Saturday of last week, I think. Okay. I don't know. This is written last week. Okay. So he says, Friday evening, I texted her the plan, axe throwing plus sushi Saturday. Now it's the day of. So he wrote this on Saturday. Now it's the day of, and she hasn't read or responded. She's had a habit since day one of taking a long time to read messages / replying. But on our first date, she did tell me she's on her phone a lot when I asked her what she likes to do on her free time. My question, if she doesn't get back to me, when is it appropriate to call her? Should I give it a few days first? Is calling too pushy in this situation? How would you interpret this behavior? Well, for one, I would interpret it as she has low interest. And see, guys get in their head and think, well, she must have so much going on that she forgot about me. Guys, women do not and cannot ever forget about men that they are highly interested in because they don't meet guys like that every day. And so if he was somebody that she truly had a high interest in, it would have been instantaneous text back. It would have been, oh, great, I'm available Saturday automatically. There would have been no, I'll let you know. I'll know for sure. I'll let you see. The only type of women that do that are women that have low interest. All right. So you can't fall for women say that. But let's go back to when he said that he's not looking for anything long-term and he's just looking for a hookup. And I call bullcrap because there are at least 5 things he did during the course of him going out with this woman that to her and to me as a dating coach would be indicative of somebody that actually is harboring feelings and is trying to play like, oh, I don't care if she texts me or not. I just want to be hooked up. And it's not at the relationship, but he's doing certain actions that show the opposite of that. What are those actions? Well, for the first one, he told her that he wanted to step out of the friend zone. Saying something like that is very specifically relationship oriented. I don't care in his mind how he thought he was spinning it. What she heard was, it's only been one date, but I already want you as my girlfriend. And what does that do to women? It applies pressure. It makes her start to feel like going out with you is now not her idea, but now it's something that you're trying to force upon her. And at the point that women start feeling like you're forcing things to happen and you're forcing a relationship and you're trying to force feelings to be there, women lose autonomy. They feel as though they don't want to be controlled and they start doing what? They start ghosting you and going away. All right. Second thing this guy did is, in spite of him saying he just wants casual friends with benefits, he's actually planning dates. He's setting up Dave and Buster's. He's trying to do axe throwing and wine tastings. And these are all things that a guy's typically doing if he's trying to go beyond just friends with benefits and casual. Now, some guys will say, but that's just me wanting to be nice. And even though we're just friends with benefits, I don't just want it to be about the hookup. I don't want to give her the impression that women are totally fine being your friends with benefits. Like women that just want to hook up are totally fine with you just being like, hey, I got a free day today. Come on over, bring a bottle of wine. I'll get some snacks and we'll go to town. Like if a woman's legitimately not about being in a relationship with you, you can say that kind of stuff and she'll be like, okay, but he wasn't setting that up. He was setting up actual outings. Like he was setting up a Panera Bread date, an axe throwing date, a David Buster's date, where she dressed really, really nice. He probably dressed pretty decently too. All these things, sushi Saturday, all these things are indicative of this guy's trying to date me. He's trying to court me. He's taking me out. He's spending money on me. So he's doing actions, once again, that indicate he actually wants a relationship. So now what'll happen is this, is that because women are fine with whatever direction you're trying to take things, but you can't lie to women, at least with regards to what direction you're trying to take this in. So if you're saying to her, if you're thinking in your head, I want friends with benefits, but then you're leading her down a path that's like indicative of a relationship, a woman's going to be surprised when you're like trying to hook up with her and be like, wait, if we're trying to date, we're trying to get to know each other. Why are you trying to hook up so fast? And it's because you were really trying to do on one agenda. So now everything you were doing is under the guise of, I'm doing all these things just to get in your pants. And that's actually worse than just being upfront and saying, look, I'm single, you're single. I think we get along great. If you want to hook up from time to time, totally cool. Women will respect that more and actually be down for that more than you doing all these things with the guise of, it's all just to get in her pants. Like, that's worse. Another thing that this guy is doing, he's texting her after the date with these gushy messages. So after the second date, he's texting, I had a great time. And even just after that first date, sending another text saying, this is so great. I want to be out of the friend zone, all this other stuff. Like you're showing a level of care that, just to be real, a friends with benefits would not show. A friends with benefits would not be trying to text after a hookup and be like, hey, want to make sure you got home safe. Just want you to know I had a good time. I really enjoyed our time together. Like, you ain't got to do all that. You can really just be like, at the end of the hookup, hey, get home, hug her. Hey, get home safe. See you later. And then let her be the one to text you and call you. But when you're the one sending these after hangout texts, that's equating to a guy that's trying to actually date her, not a friends with benefits. Number 4, he's asking her out again before she confirms. So now you have the guy on the first date trying to ask for a second date, and then he's trying to ask for a date and reconfirm plans later, all this other stuff. But again, he's doing all this stuff. He's trying to set up dates while on previous dates. That's a guy that's not in it just for a hookup, because a guy that's just in it for a hookup would be like, let's hook up. Okay, great. And then he wouldn't be telling her, I'm going to call you later. He wouldn't be saying, let's hook up again next Tuesday. He would just let her go and then let her wonder if he's going to call her again for another hookup. But this guy's not doing that. So again, he thinks he's trying to set up friends with benefits, and everything he's doing is setting up for, I'm trying to date you. And then the fifth thing, most importantly, he's very focused on communication logistics. So he's on Reddit talking about how this girl hasn't texted him back yet, and should he text her or call her to reconfirm a thing and set something else up, and then how long should he wait for her to text him and all this other stuff. That's a guy that, in spite of him trying to have a friends with benefit situation, is feeling too much and is really wanting to lead this down a path towards a relationship. Now, guys these days try to fool themselves by saying, I don't need a relationship, I just want to hook up. But subconsciously, they're thinking, but if this hookup feels good, if these hangouts go well, I could see myself in a relationship with her. And so you can just start with that. But here's the thing. You can start with the thought process of, I want a relationship, and not be doing all of these things. Because looking at what this list I was coming up with, I realized a lot of the things that work to get into a friends with benefit situation will also get you into a relationship. Like, real talk. Not voicing your feelings or talking about how you want to get out of a friend zone will make her down the line want to get you out of the friend zone. Not planning dates, planning dates, but not trying to like look too desperate for it and trying to make them appear more casual will get her wanting to do more things. Like too many guys are spending too much money in the beginning and trying to do all these fancy dinners and concerts and stuff like that. And I found, honestly, I've been the guy that took women to concerts, took them to fancy places on dates 1 and 2, and none of those ever panned out. The ones that panned out, first date might be a pizza place. Second date might be a comedy show that cost me like $5. Third date might be a hike and a walk that costs next to nothing, you know? And then along the way, as we spend more time together, women earn the right and the privilege, rather, to get more expensive dates from me, but not in the beginning, right? Doing that leads to relationships. I found not texting women after dates resulted in them wondering how I felt about them and getting a little anxious and then wondering if I was going to call them again. And then when I would call them, you know what happened? I'd call them like 4 or 5 days later for another date. And usually by date 2 or 3, we'd be hooking up. Why? Because I wasn't burning their interest out on me by trying to text them and call them every day in between dates. Go figure. And then again, not asking for dates while I'm on a date leads to women wondering, is he going to ask for another date again? Is he having a good time with me? What do I need to do on the next date to make him want to get more dates? And then not caring if a woman texts me back right away. I had women I dated where like I would text them and maybe they couldn't get back to me right away. You know what I would do? I'd wait. I wouldn't be nervous. I wouldn't double text. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's been like 6 hours. Hey, I dated women that were not nurses. I dated women that were teachers, doctors, lawyers, scientists, and they have actual jobs where they're busy. My wife right now, she works at a law firm downtown. So when she goes to work, if I get a text from her during the day, you know what? Fantastic. But I'm here working on this as well as working on other projects. And she's at work concentrating on work. I do not concern myself with, I got to text her, make sure she knows I still like her. Doesn't have to happen. It does happen sometimes, but if it doesn't, I'm not getting beat up for it and she doesn't care. And I found that was true for most women I dated, was that I didn't have to be so on them to text, but also I found me texting less made them text more. And that's the thing. Men think that texting should be 50-50. It really should be 70-30. Like she should be texting and she should be initiating text 70% of the time. You should be initiating 30%. And most of your text should be, hey, babe, I want to take you out. Hey, babe, let's go to dinner. Hey, babe, I saw a movie we can go to. It should be text to plan dates. And then maybe once a week you say, hey, babe, here's a funny meme, or hey, babe, just want you to know I care about you. But again, all the stuff you need to do to get a friends with benefits will also get you in a relationship. But the problem is men think that they got to treat women that they just want to hook up with differently than women that they want to get in relationships with. And I'm telling you, treat all women the same. But stop fooling yourself into thinking you just want a friends with benefits when you want a relationship. It is perfectly fine to want a relationship while at the same time holding back a bit and doing a bit less in order to get more in the long run. Just wanted to point that out. All right, guys. So before I get into the main event, if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, you can leave them in the chat. I'll be happy to get with them. Also, if you want some more help really diving into some of this stuff, because, you know, as a guy, it took me years of learning and trial and error to get to a point where I could be comfortable around women, where I can know what to say, how to treat them, what things they really, really wanted versus what they were telling me, how to, you know, get women on dating apps and how to meet them in person and be able to get with them. And there are guys out there right now that maybe you're successful at everything else you do. You got a great job, great career, you know, you got a house, an apartment, you got a lot of great friends, but somehow being able to get women is still like just not quite there. You can go to stoplosingwomen.com and sign up for one-on-one coaching. I can coach you for 8 weeks, and in the span of 8 weeks, help you figure out the ins and outs of what's holding you back, where you can make corrections, what women are actually looking for, and lead you down a path that's going to actually get you success with women. I've done it. I've helped men get successfully married and get into long-term relationships, and I can help you too. You can check that out at stoplosingwomen.com. Right now, I'm revamping the website a little bit, but like you can still go there and try to get one-on-one coaching. All right. So let's talk about the main event, right? Let's talk about this, all right? Doing this one action in bed is bound to scare women away and keep you single. So I can't be the only guy that's done this. I've seen it on forums. I've talked to guys that have done this. I get guys in my comments that ask me this all the time. And usually the situation will go something like this. Hey, Harry, I got a question. So met this girl. We went on a date, had a great time, took her out on a couple more dates. And on that third date, I was able to get her back to my place. We get to my place and we're drinking wine, we're watching TV, having a good time. Next thing you know, clothes are coming off. She's ripping and roaring. She's kissing all over me. I'm kissing all over her. We go to the bedroom, things get popping, and everything is great. Cut to the next day or the day after, I try to reach out to her to ask for a date, and suddenly either she's gone ghost or she's giving excuses that she's suddenly too busy, she can't see me, etc., etc. And then I don't get to see her anymore. I don't know what's going on. And so for the guys that I coach, I'll ask them, okay, so like in the course of hooking up, like what happened? Take me through the whole thing. Don't leave any details out, right? The guy will say, okay, well, so we hooked up. We did everything in bed. I made sure I was patient. I was caring. I made sure to do things that she liked, blah, 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 blah. And then afterwards, we were sitting there and we were cuddled up, and I just started telling her about, how great of a girl I think she is, and how, I could really see this working out. I could see a potential future with her. And, like, I don't want to play games. I really want to keep seeing her. And, I asked her if she's still in the dating apps or whatever, or if she's seeing anybody else, blah, 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 blah. And right there is where they messed up. As soon as they start saying that they said all that stuff, I automatically know exactly what was going on. And if I dig deeper into their dating history, there's a good chance that they've dated other women in the past, just during the dating phase, where they were able to have a hookup. And then next thing they know, as far as they know, they have a hookup, and then the girl just stops seeing them. And they're thinking, are all girls like this? Is she crazy? Did she just want to hook up with me and then leave me? What's going on? And what I have found is that the biggest blocker for men with regards to dating success after they sleep with a girl is the part where they let their guard down and start opening up with all these feelings and all these thoughts they're having, and it freaks women out. Now, as a guy, you may not understand why that is, because you're thinking, but wait a minute, like, I get why you're doing it, because I used to think the same way, right? And this is where God logic, by the way, will get you in trouble in dating, because a lot of the things that I had to unlearn was like logical guy things that I thought would make sense to me and therefore would make sense when I'm dating women, only to find out that all those things were completely wrong. Wrote a whole book about it called No Girls for You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, at the website. But here's the thing, guy, right? So your thought process is this, is you're thinking, just like with the previous story I talked about, where the guy's like, he's going on dates and saying, I want to get out of the friend zone. I want to see you. I really like you. What is inherently wrong with telling a woman all that stuff? Well, here's the thing, guy. So what you're thinking is this. You as a guy, let's say you're a nice guy, right? As a nice guy, you're very aware of the stories that women have told you time and time again about how they've been abused by guys, how they've been used. Women have told you that they liked a guy, they hooked up with him one time, and next thing they know, he skedaddled on to somebody else. And never mind that you don't know the full story, because sometimes women do things too to scare guys away. They're never going to tell you what they're doing. All you know is that you hear these heartfelt, emotional tales about how, these women seemingly got used by guys just for their bodies, and how people are always staring at them and don't care about their brains. And more importantly, these guys never gave these women the relationship that they swear up and down they were so much wanting, right? And so you as a logical guy think, okay, you know what? I don't want to show up as that guy. I don't want to be the guy that uses women for sex. I don't want to give her the impression that if we hook up, I'm just in it for the hookup. And I don't want that on me, because I'm going to feel like a slime ball if we sleep together and she has any kind of thought that I only spent all this time with her just to sleep with her. I want to be able to assure her that she's not crazy, that I'm not like those other guys, and that I do, in fact, I care about her enough to where I see that this could potentially be going someplace. And I want her to know, even though, like, us being super serious and being in a relationship is probably like 2 or 3 months off, I want her to know now that that's the pathway I'm on, so she won't think that our time spent together from now on when we hook up is just about the hookup. And to be fair, hey, I've dated women who I didn't give any kind of speech to. We dated for a little bit, and then we'd hook up. And then next time we went out, we'd go out, we'd hook up, we'd go out, we'd hook up. And about that 4th or 5th hookup, the woman would be like, hey, so like, are you just in this for the hookup? And so, and as in my previous version of doing this, I would think, I don't want that to happen, because I don't want women thinking I'm just using it for the hookup, right? So I would reassure them early on. Once I stopped doing that, what would happen is women would come to me and say, hey, are you just using me for the hookup? And so what I would do when that happened is I wouldn't say, oh, no, I'm not interested in the hookup. In fact, I see a relationship. That's a trap. You can't do that either. I would say to them instead, I'd say, hey, if you're really worried that I'm just in this for the hookup, let's take hooking up off the table. We can just go back to seeing each other and just dating or whatever. And when you're comfortable, we can continue hooking up. And saying that would let women know, oh, he's not just in this for the hookup. But more importantly, now they got to think about, but the hookup's really good. Do I want to give that up? At which point they'd be like, no, okay. I just need to know this and that. But the point is, I stopped saying to women, I stopped giving them any reassurance that this was not about the hookup. Now, I knew where this was going, but I kept that to myself. All I would do is keep asking them on dates. And then if the date went well and they wanted to do some stuff, we would do some stuff, right? But suffice to say, but guys think that reassuring women is the way to go. Now, here is why you trying to reassure her that you're not in this for the hookup is a bad way to go. Because what you're actually verbalizing is present commitment on a situation that has not played itself out long enough for the woman to have decided that that's what she wants. So you have good guy thoughts of, I don't want her to be nervous or think that she's being used by sex. Okay. So you verbalizing that, you're thinking, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing a great thing by telling her I'm not using you for sex. And that's what you think she's hearing. You think she's hearing the words you're actually saying on the surface. What I tell you guys time and time again, women read 3 times more into things that we say. So when you say, hey, just so you know, I'm not just in this for the hookup. I really enjoy getting to know you. What she's hearing is, hey, I'm not in this for the hookup. I'm in this because as far as I'm concerned, I'm already seeing this as a relationship and you should too. The problem is most women are open to hooking up with you by dates 2 or 3, which if you're doing dating the way you're supposed to is only like 2 weeks in. So in a span of 2 weeks, she's thinking in 2 weeks time, this guy has spent a total of like 5 or 6 hours with me and has already decided that I'm good enough to be his girlfriend. He's already assessed that based on our interaction thus far, I'm already girlfriend material. That seems really fast. What's this guy's real motive? Why is he trying to rush into this so fast? What's going on? And to a guy, you might think that makes no sense because that's not what I said. It doesn't matter what you say. It matters how she interprets it. You could say to a woman until you're blue in the face, hey, so I'm going to say this thing to you, and it just means for now, I'm not using you for a hookup. It does not mean I want a relationship right now. It's just meaning that in the process of dating you, I'm enjoying hooking up. We can keep doing that and it not have to be a relationship yet until you're ready. But you verbalizing all that is going to make you feel like you're ready for a relationship. Versus, it's going to sound weird, right? You not verbalizing that is going to result in you being on that program. Like you're thinking you need to verbalize, hey, just because we're hooking up doesn't mean we're in a relationship yet. If you just didn't say that part, she would already assume by the fact that you haven't asked her to be the girlfriend yet, that that's the pathway you're on. Or even if she wasn't assuming that, there'd be an air of mystery about, so we're hooking up. So does this count as a relationship yet? Does he see it as that? And even just having that little air of mystery is going to be better than you verbalizing, hey, just so you know, I'm not hooking up with you just to hook up with you. But anytime you as a guy come out of your mouth and say after a hookup, hey, so, just so you know, like I do have feelings for you and I could see a future together, you're freaking her out. Because now it goes to that thing of like, now she's feeling like it goes from getting into a relationship with you is potentially a decision she's going to eventually get to after she's done 2 or 3 months of proper vetting versus, oh, he's saying right now it's already a relationship. I got tricked into this, or, oh, this wasn't my decision, or how could he make this decision without me? And that's going to cause her to stop contacting you after a good hookup. And hey, I've been there. I've been the guy who like had a good hookup, was like, oh, this is the best hookup ever. You're so great. I hope we do this again soon. Just any kind of future speak you bring to hookup proceedings is bound to result in a woman ghosting you. Because again, she doesn't need to hear that from you. She'll know that you want to keep seeing her when after that hookup, 3 or 4 days from now, you hit her up and say, hey, let's go out and get a bite to eat. Then she'll know, oh my God, he's not using me just for the hookup. And even then, she might be a little bit on edge, like, but does this dinner, if we hook up after this dinner, does that still mean he's getting what he wants and I'm not, blah, 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 blah. And this is where I say, women need to go through the journey of not being completely sure where this is in order to be able to convince herself 2 or 3 months in that she really does want you, at which point she'll come to you. She might come to you flustered and mad. Hey, so we've been hooking up for like 2 months, but like, does this mean we're like boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, where are we? What's going on? Am I just being used for the hookup? And go see, for women, if you hook up with them long enough without asking for a commitment, they themselves, if they have a high interest in you, is going to be like, they're going to be in their head being like, wait a minute, I hook up with this guy all the time. We go out, we talk well, we have a good time. He gives me the best orgasms I had in my entire life. We got to be in a relationship, right? Like, he hasn't brought it up. He hasn't asked me, but this is what it is, right? I got to find out. At which point she will now come to you to get that data. And that's the point where you can now start talking about, oh, you think we're in a relationship? So you're saying you want to be in a relationship. Let's talk about what that looks like. But you trying to do this after 2 or 3 dates and one good hookup, and you verbalizing this stuff in the bedroom, you trying to get all cuddly and emotional with her and trying to over talk about how you're feeling the things and you've never felt anything like this, blah, 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 blah. That's really the move in the bedroom that's chasing her away. Like, you could be just okay with regards to physical moves because you can, ask her what she really likes and learn that stuff along the way. But you verbalizing after the first hookup that you see a future with her and she's the only one you want to date now, blah, 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 that's going to scare her away more than any bad moves you could actually do in the bedroom would ever do. So let's stop doing that. And you'll find you'll get better results and women that'll stick around longer when you're not trying to talk about your emotions and feelings towards her as a result of a hookup. So just wanted to point that out for you guys. You won't be lost in the sauce. And like I said before, guys, you ever need my help with coaching, go to stoplosingwomen.com and you can hit me up for one-on-one coaching. Anyway, guys, that's really all I got for today. I'm going out of town this weekend, so I'll probably post up like snippets of this particular live. But when I get back next week, I'll be doing more lives and talking to you guys. In the meantime, check out stoplosingwomen.com. Check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/stoplosingwomen. Check out more videos, audios, etc. That's all I got. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next stream. I'm out. Peace.